Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It's time for the first look with my friends, Jon Danger and Trevor Hillstrom, better known as Trust and Trevor. Trevor, you mentioned before we even got started, this is a tough slate this week. We got Tua back, most likely. We got Bryce Young. I mean, we got a lot going on this week. What do you think makes this slate so tough?
What makes it tough is you have so many good matchups, and trying to pick the right guys is going to be really tough because it looks like most of the running backs are in good spots. So, finding the right 2 or 3 to put in your lineup is going to be the challenge. And then you're going to have to pay down at wide receiver.
Or let me ask you this, Danger. Last week, running backs were great and no receiver scored 2 touchdowns. Maybe everybody's doing the running back thing this week, and maybe this is the week to do cheap running back and expensive receiver.
I mean, I'd like to, but I'm having a hard time finding those cheap running backs, Doc.
All right. I hear you. All right, let's get started. Let's see where we are. How do we want to do this? Do we want to do this by position, or we want to do this by game? Let's do it by position. How about that? Looking at some quarterbacks, where are you thinking, Trevor? Lamar is going to cost you $8,000, but he's in a good spot. Jon Daniels is not playing. Are you going to go cheap with a Mariota? Jameis Winston is really cheap. What are you, Tua, if he plays against Arizona at home, what's your thoughts on the quarterbacks in this slate?
Well, at first I look at Hurts. I think he's in a good that game could shoot out. I like Jordan Love. Jacksonville's terrible against the pass. I do like Winston because he seems to get the ball going. I like those type of guys. I'm not going to play Jackson this week. I think I'm going to be out. I think Cleveland doesn't give up too many slate breaking points to the quarterback. He's played against 2 similar type quarterbacks, and they didn't get more than 22 points. But Jackson is the guy that's he breaks all barriers.
Danger, when you're looking at quarterback, it feels to me I don't want to pay up. I don't want to be all the way down, but I feel like it's not like Lamar's not good, but paying $8,000, it feels like it hurts me too much because I need to get everything else in. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and that after he throws 5 touchdowns, he's going to be the highest owned guy on the slate. I mean, he just is. So you're looking at 8,000. You're looking at the top owned player. You're looking at you need another 30 points, to lock in out of him. Can he do that? Sure. But no, I'm with you. I think Jordan Love, again, running him solo or with Josh Jacobs or with Kraft and forgetting about which wide receiver is trying to go in is a winning strategy. It did well last week. I'm all about it again. And I think Joe Burrow, again, I think underrated every year and every week in ownership. And that game could be a 35-38 game.
I can't imagine guys not having a piece of that game. I'm thinking that might be the blow it out, get as many pieces as I can. But the problem is I don't know if I can afford so many pieces in this game. If I go Burrow in the double stack, who can I bring it? Devonta? Can I bring it back with Devonta? I mean, is that what I'm looking at?
I got a weird idea. Don't bring it back. Just pick a side.
But what if the game blows up and it goes 38-35 like you said?
It could. Yeah.
I just don't think you're going to be able to afford to play the whole game stack.
Trevor Danger said something that was interesting. He said, play Love naked. That feels like a really smart play. He's not throwing for 300 yards, but he's throwing for 3 and 4 touchdowns each week. How do you feel about playing a naked quarterback?
Well, I like it with Love because, like you said, you just don't know who to pick as the wide receiver. Dobbs has been the guy the last 2 weeks. He's gotten the most targets, but I'm having a feeling it's going to be a Reed week, and Wicks seems to always come in and play, and he'll steal a touchdown, but he won't do a whole lot more in the game. So yeah, I like Love as a naked player.
Mm-hmm. And I'm in on Winston, Doc. I'm totally in on Winston. I mean, you're looking at 5,200. You're looking at a guy who has seen 400-yard games. Now he's going to get 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with 400 yards, but that's okay if he's putting up 400 yards at 5,200.
What about Bo Nix? What about Mariota? I think Mariota is going to play. I don't think they're going to risk Jaden Daniels this early in his career. I mean, it's okay. I don't think they want to lose a game, but I think it's okay if he doesn't play. But Mariota can run and he can throw. Bo Nix has got the dream matchup of his life against the worst Carolina team with Bryce Young. They won't be able to move the ball at all. Do you like either of those guys? Are they popping on your Sims, Danger?
I mean, Bo Nix, I've got him as, let's see, the 6th quarterback in my projection scoring. So yes, the Sims like him. The only worry I have there with Bryce Young at the helm is, what if Carolina can only put up 10 points? What if Jamal Williams and Denver defense just dominate that game and Bo Nix throws for 110 yards, rushes for 40, and only accounts for 1 touchdown? That scares me.
Trevor, you guys, Danger was just talking about Jameis Winston. We're not talking about Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is a guy that can get 20 touches. Stefanski wants to get Nick Chubb the touches. Then all of a sudden, Jameis Winston doesn't look as magical as he did last week. Do you think that the Browns may turn into a running offense with Jameis then?
Not against Baltimore, they won't. They're going to be from behind. They're going to have to pass, and Baltimore just stops the run. I mean, no, I'm not interested in Chubb at all.
All right. Have we missed any quarterback that I'll give you a guy that I think is totally wild? Nobody's going to play CJ Stroud. Nobody's going to play CJ Stroud this week after last week's debacle. Colts are not good. Can we find any love for that or not really?
I mean, I'm looking at my stack projections here, and it's got a lot of love for CJ Stroud. But like I said, in one of the other groups that I chat with quite a bit, somebody pointed out that we have this love affair with Stroud, but if you look at his numbers without Nico Collins, it ain't pretty. Now, we talked about it last week at length in our Sunday morning show about how Stroud didn't play well outside and that the Packers was a bad matchup for him. I think this is a good matchup for him. I think this is a great spot for him. And if he's got a game in him without Nico, it's this week.
All right, let's take a look at some running backs here, guys. You know, last week, if you didn't have the expensive running backs, you likely didn't win, whether it was Mixon or Walker or Saquon. Trevor, is there a guy that you're looking over 7K that you're saying, you know what, I need to lock him in my lineups?
There's not one. I mean, I do like Hall. I do like Walker. I like Mixon. I like all 3 of them, but I don't know if we have to play either one of those 3 guys. I think there's other guys you can find in the 6,000 range that are viable too.
So who are some of those guys that you're eyeing in the 6,000 range?
Well, Chan is in a good spot here. If Tua's back, I like a Chan. He's going to get, he's going to get back to his 4 or 5 catches. Plus, he's going to get 15 plus carries. Javonte Williams, I liked what I've seen against him. I know the Saints are depleted, but he's up against Carolina. He should, if he gets the ball 20 times, I mean, he's going to score.
Danger, this week doesn't seem to be a lot. The guys we like, Chuba gets Denver. James Conner's on the road in Miami. Tony Pollard's in Detroit. Those guys in the 6,000s that we tend to like have really tough matchups. Really so tough. It feels like I've got to go higher, or I've got to really go digging for gold there on the bottom. Where do you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, you know that I love this model that I run. They've got a leverage stat, right, which is always the dollar per point ownership is taken into effect. It usually spits out some very cheap value plays, and that's my bread and butter. It's worked well for me this year. The top 5 plays when you sort just by leverage: Barkley, Kamara, Mixon, Walker, Hall, Henry. It hates all the value this week. I'm going to have a very difficult time paying down. Very difficult. Wow.
Not one guy.
The closest guy is Jermichael Hasty, and I don't think that I can do it.
No. I got a guy. Trevor, can you buy into Chase Brown this week against the Eagles?
I can a little bit, but not really. No, I just no.
It's a tough one then. So if Danger's right, Danger, if you are right, I need to almost go cheaper quarterback, expensive running back, and figure out how to deal with the rest. Are you forcing me into one of those lineups?
Kind of. I mean, look, I like Rachaad White a lot. We saw what he did when they ran out of wide receiver options. You got his backup is a little banged up. Rachaad White sitting at 5,700, I think, is grossly underpriced for the situation that they are in. So I can get behind that. I also like Chase Brown, and I also like Ramondre Stevenson. So I think there is a little bit of value there. But man, the models just love to pay up. And I think there's a lot of value at wide receiver this week. So I think it's okay to pay up at running back.
I think if you're paying up at running back, you want to hope. For me, if I'm going to pay up a running back, I'm going to hope that Rudolph plays and Levis doesn't. Because if I'm going to, in my lineups that I have paying up at running back, I'm going to play Rudolph if he's playing against the Lions, because he can throw the football. He was in winning slates last year. He's 4,400, and he's going to have to throw the ball a lot, and the Lions secondary stinks.
Trevor, I want to ask you a very serious question. Do you like lighting money on fire?
Well, when I make the lineups, I can get Hall in. I can get the better running backs in there. So,
but
Trevor,
Mason Rudolph, if he throws for 222 yards and 1 touchdown, that's like a success story.
Yeah, you need him to throw 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've got gymnastics with my youngest every Wednesday night before this, which is why we have to start a little late when I'm on. And so I have a lot of time just to look through this. And I think Trevor was spying on me because I'm preparing my tipsy pick article of, you got to drink 4 or 5 beers before you make these plays. A little Rudolph, a little Boyd, it's kind of gross.
That's just the point I'm trying to make. If you're going to pay up for those big time running backs, you're going to have to pay down at quarterback somewhere. And I mean, where else are you going to pay down? Him, Mariota? I mean, I don't like Mariota at all. I mean, so that's just if you're paying up at running back, you got to make these bad choices.
Yeah.
Read per mark, Trevor. Read it. You're lighting money on fire.
He's better than Levis.
Well, you're better than Levis.
But Rudolph was in winning lineups last year. I think I showed you where he won my guy $100,000.
Look, Rudolph is a serviceable quarterback, right? He's not good, but he doesn't suck, right? I mean, and he can run a little bit too. Look, the guy played at Oklahoma State. I mean, he was a decent enough quarterback in college. There's some skill there. Heat override is like in the Rudolph play too. Now, and I think nobody's going to want to play that because without Hopkins there, you're saying, how are they going to throw the ball, right? I get that. But you better show me. I don't know. I just don't. I think Winston makes sense.
Yeah, makes more sense.
Makes more sense. But I also feel like Rudolph is going to be 3% owned, and Winston will be like 7%.
Well, he'll be 1% owned.
Rudolph.
Yeah.
Then what's
in a 100-man contest where Trevor's the one who has him?
Well, what about Winston? Will Winston be 9 or 10% owned?
I'm sure he will be.
That's a lot for a quarterback. He just wants us to play Bo Nix, and I get that, but I just it's hard for me to get behind a Sean Payton offense. They just don't throw enough. They don't do enough of anything. You know what I'm saying?
I like Bo Nix. I just think this is a Javonte Williams. Maybe Jaleel McLaughlin gets in here as a guy. There could be some stuff there. It's just not Bo Nix. But hey, early projections have Winston at less owned than Mariota, by the way.
Then I'm interested. Then I'm interested. I mean, things can change. Guys get steamed up all the time. I think Mariota is actually very clever. Let's keep digging deeper with wide receivers. So let's talk wide receivers. You got Chase up at 8,500. You got St. Brown at 84. You got AJ Brown at 82. Then it starts dropping off in the 7s. But there's only like 4 guys in the 7s, including Tyreek Hill, who's going to be massively owned, especially if Tua comes back, and then it starts dropping. So, Danger, who are some of the guys that you're starting out with?
So it's kind of funny that one of the other things I like to run is just possibility of people forexing their salary. And it's very interesting this week at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 6 and number 9 on that chart of possibility to forex are both AJ Brown and Jamar Chase at over $8,000 with top 10 possibility to forex. That's why I love this game so much. I don't know how I fit it in there. I don't know how I get it there, but I love it.
Especially when your models say to pay up for running back too.
so
That's
hard.
what
I don't know how I'm
said.
going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But
That was what I said. Look, I was wrong about one major thing last week. I knew St. Brown and Jefferson. Can I tell you guys this? This is a true story. And Danger is going to say, Doc, you've been telling me about this for years now. It's true. My first lineup that I did last week had Jonnu Smith, Cedric Tillman, Darnold, who wasn't great, Jefferson, and St. Brown. I just didn't stick to my guns, right? I got a little nervous. Oh, I was worried about Tillman and Jonnu and all these guys. Would I have taken down a tournament? No, but I would have been pretty high up. My point being is AJ Brown and Chase, they're the same thing as the guys last week. But people don't want to spend the money. We get nervous. Guys like me, everybody gets nervous because we have to find that $3,000 guy. And when we find a guy that gives us a zero, it's a problem.
But I think we have him again this week. I mean, he just nailed it on Tillman, and I already apologized to him publicly because I made fun of him for it, and I wasn't nice about it, Doc, and I feel bad down to the soul that I didn't get on the Tillman train. He's number 2 on my list of guys most likely to go over 4X this week again, and also in that Denver game, if you're gonna play Bo Nix, you can go with Devon Vela again at 3,500. This is a game that he might open. I love the kid. I don't know why. I saw him in person. He was fun.
Who was the guy?
Devon Vela. I don't know.
Oh, Vela. Yeah. Well,
look, there is some value here this week. I mean, Jacoby Myers is going to play this week at 5,400. Lad McConkey still at only 5,100, and he's smoking coverage. I mean, there's some plays.
Trevor, what do you think here? Do you agree? Do you want to be? I know what you said originally, no, but now that we're talking about it, are you open to paying up for a receiver? Are there certain value receivers you like?
I'm open to paying up for maybe one receiver. You know, Brown does spark interest. The value guys that I like at wide receiver, it feels like I'm chasing points at this point. So I'm trying to figure a way to get off of them, you know. But I do like Mooney. A guy like Mooney, he shredded Tampa last time he played him. I like Bateman, but that really feels like I'm chasing points. But I look back, Bateman's had 3 games in a row where he's double digits. But
Bateman's not chasing points, man. Bateman is the truth right now.
So, you know, he's a guy that's cheap. Dobbs is cheap.
McMillan, Sterling.
McMillan is cheap.
Sterling Shepard. Yeah. Look, I'm going to give you a guy right now. Okay. Right now, if DK Metcalf is out, I'm playing Jake Bobo.
Yeah. It makes sense.
I like it. And I like Walker. I love Walker, and being able to put Walker in there and Bobo together. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Doc. I've made some money this year fading the quarterback and playing the top running back in a wide receiver in a stack.
Look, I think I have to get past this is how you do it, right? And trusting my analysis of players, right? Heat and I were the only 2 people that I know of talking about Tillman last week. I mentioned it on the radio. I mentioned it on Friday Night Light, whatever it is, you know, and Heat was singing about it. But you got to trust your evaluation of players, right? If you believe in a guy, you got to go with him. Trevor, let me ask you about Tampa. McMillan looks good, but Sterling Shepard went to Oklahoma with Baker. These guys know each other. Do you think Shepard is sneaky?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely sneaky. I mean, they've got to throw the ball to somebody. I mean, you got Otten, you got Shepard, and you got McMillan. I mean, them are the 3 guys. I mean, one of those guys is going to pop against Atlanta, especially.
Let's talk about real quick. Can you give me a little breakdown on Brian Thomas Jr.? I like him, but is he going to get covered up this week?
You know what? Did it matter last week? Gonzalez couldn't touch him. Gonzalez could not cover Brian Thomas Jr. And Gonzalez, we would all argue, is a top 5 cornerback. He got abused. So Jair Alexander is a great player, but he doesn't. Look, Justin Jefferson succeeds against Alexander. You know, guys make plays, right? The great players make plays. Trevor's laughing because he knows I'm right? So it's like,
well, you know, yeah. Well, Justin Jefferson makes everybody look foolish. So, but
Brian Thomas will too.
To attack the Packers, you got to attack them down the middle of their seam, their defense, right down the middle. That's where you got to beat them through the middle of the field. Like last week, the Texans, I had Dalton Schultz in some lineups. They hit him for a 28-yard pass right out the bat, and then nothing afterwards. So the team's got to attack that middle.
You know, the Texans could not stop the pass rush. They were called for a lot of penalties. They couldn't stop the pass rush. You're totally right. Dalton Schultz was 1 for 28. What was it, the second or third play of the game? And the guy never got another target.
Yeah.
That's a joke. I mean, you got to do better than that. Danger, who are, you mentioned McConkey. You mentioned guys like that in the middle. Do you think in DFS, when you have those guys in the middle, that you get caught because you're getting like 10 to 15 points, but you're not getting the 20 that you need?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely can. And I think you have to, if you're going to go with those middle guys in the 51 to 6,000 range, you have to have somebody with a boom. You have to have it. It's safe. It's cash play. We have a lot of people at drroto.com that play cash stock, and those guys are bread and butter, right? But if you're going to take down a GPP, it's okay to have one. But you need to put, if you put 3 guys at 57 to 6,400 in, I think that you're never going to get there.
Trevor, you mentioned Mason Rudolph. Am I allowed to mention Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, you have to. No D Hop, so yeah, you gotta mention him. What's the other receiver there? Keeney?
Westbrook Keeney, who's not bad, by the way.
No,
Tyler Boyd there too.
Tyler Boyd is there too.
Oh yeah, Boyd too. So
I mean, Boyd's not fabulous, but he's a guy that can catch a 60-yarder, right?
Right. I mean, look, DeAndre Hopkins was not doing anything so special that they needed him. He was going to leave anyway. It wasn't like the team was not going anywhere. The deal makes sense. I think, by the way, it is a great deal for the Chiefs. When I think of it, you know what Hopkins is? He's an older Rashee Rice. They run the same routes.
Hey, Doc, did we forget to talk about maybe like a Tim Patrick at 3,500 with no JMO?
Maybe.
A Khalif Raymond, who's familiar with the offense? A 34?
I don't think those are guys you can rely on. Why? Because you have the running game. Then you've got St. Brown. Then you've got Laporta. So then to get a Raymond or Patrick, you need the game to explode. This game is not exploding. Could a Raymond make a one-off? Sure, but I don't think 2 for 40 and a touchdown is enough for me to, it's okay to make money, but I'm not your rich friend if I do that.
Fair. I just have them like a half a point behind McMillan and Shepard, which is
right. It's a good pivot,
right? Yeah.
All right, Trevor, can we be 2 tight ends this week? Because you mentioned that last week. And so this week, can we be 2 tight ends? Brock Bowers gets Kansas City, the worst team in the league against opposing tight ends. Is he a rubber stamp? Get this dude in my lineup, Trevor.
Well, he's up there. I mean, I don't rubber stamp any tight end anymore, but I do like him a lot. I mean, you got him. I think we're forgetting about the Jaguars here. Again, I like Evan Engram against the Packers, and another guy I like is Otten. Am I chasing the points here? I'm worried that Mayfield's going to hang him out to dry and get him killed because he floats that ball up there and Otten's jumping up for balls and he's getting drilled. But yeah, you could play 2 tight ends. I mean, Otten's under 4,000, and I know it doesn't look like a good matchup on paper. Andrew's still only 4,000.
What do you think, Danger? Who do you like at tight end?
Hey, listen, I got a real problem here, Doc, because pay up in every category is a disaster for me. So I got to figure this out. But you're right about Bowers. You're not only right about Bowers, but how about Njoku against the Baltimore defense that can't stop a tight end? How about, again, Evan Engram? The pack is very easy to beat up the middle. Cade Otton, who might be the number 1 target getter in that entire offense this week. Hunter Henry, who's going to be heavily targeted by Drake May. I mean, I think I've built 4 lineups already, and 2 of them were double tight ends.
And you know who nobody's mentioned? Dalton Schultz against the Indianapolis Colts, who are wretched against tight ends. Wretched. I will tell you this as I sit here on Wednesday. Now, things can change because I haven't really done a dive on any of these games yet. Honestly, nothing. I can't imagine not going 2 tight ends on every lineup that I do, because I don't think there's enough value at receiver, but I think there's some tight end value here where I can get, could Njoku go 5 for 70 and a touchdown? If he does that, I'm in business.
I mean, I even like Cole Kmet, Doc. I mean, there's just so many good matchups this week. They're so good. I'm not 100% positive that Daniels misses the game. I think that they were so far ahead, they didn't seriously consider putting him back in the game last week. They're giving him time off because they want him to be healthy. It would not shock me if Jaden Daniels plays this week.
Trevor, I need to ask a question because I would say about a third of my seasonal teams have this situation. I have Jaden Daniels, and about a third of my teams have Sam Darnold. Do I play Darnold Thursday, or do I wait for Jaden Daniels?
Well, I'm playing Darnold then. I'm not going to wait on Daniels. I don't think Daniels is going to play, but I'm not going to take that chance. If I got Darnold against the Rams, I'm going to play him.
I agree with that. That's my plan. Let me give you a couple more guys. Heat Override is mentioning Cortland Sutton. And then the other one that I think is interesting is Will Dissly against the Saints, who've been very bad against tight ends. Do we like any of those? Do we like either of those plays, Danger?
I mean, Dissly's was just, I started my lineup splitting Dissly. The issue is he's a little banged up. So you got to watch out for that. And he got extra play because some of the other tight ends were scratched last week.
Sure.
So you got to watch out who's going to play there. But if Dissly is this sole tight end again, I mean, lock and load, buddy. Absolutely. I love the double tight end this week, Doc. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm going to put a lot of it in.
Trevor, let me give you a guy that nobody in this lifetime is talking about, and maybe they should. Should we be talking about Taysom Hill?
Well, I see he's coming back this week. So, yeah, I mean, he's always somebody you got to think about playing at times, especially with the Saints, with the injuries they have. I mean, they got to get offense from somebody. I mean,
Could you see yourself playing him on FanDuel?
Oh, yeah, I can play him on FanDuel, sure.
I just have a feeling that they're so desperate. I mean, we don't even know who they're receiving. If Olave is out again and you have no Shaheed, how is Taysom Hill not a big part of this offense?
Yeah, he should be in Juwan Johnson.
Right.
I mean, talk about a team that might throw their top three receivers might all be tight ends.
Is Carr playing?
All three of them.
Is Carr playing?
Wasn't he questionable to play?
Let me check that. One moment, please. It's so early. I like that we do the first look, but it's he is questionable right now. He's unlikely to play Sunday.
Okay, well.
Also, by the way, Heat was talking about Cortland Sutton, saying nobody will be on him. I've got him as the 15th highest owned wide receiver on the slate. And it's because they're playing Carolina. So I don't think people are going to forget about him. But I also think it's going to be a running game. Bo Nix, I think, is fine because Bo Nix is going to run for 70 and a touchdown. So if he throws for 150 and a touchdown, we got a good score out of him.
That's one thing I always forget about Nix is that he can run the football pretty decently himself.
And he's averaging like 60 yards a game.
Yeah.
One of the best prop bets of the year was I had Bo Nix over 20 yards rushing in a game. I was like, it was against the Buccaneers when he finally had the breakout game. He had like 40. It was easy. He was great at Auburn. He was great at Oregon. He was always taking extra yards. Always. All right. That's Miguel says, Trevor, who's your king for tomorrow's showdown?
We have to really look. It looks like Cup's playing. It's going to be Cooper Kupp. I mean, Kupp's going to probably have 10 catches for 100 yards. I mean, I know it stinks trying to play this guy coming back, but if he's playing, I like Kupp the most.
I'm a little worried about, being limited if he's still a little hurt, but I also think that they do truly want to trade him. And I think throwing him 12 balls and seeing what he could do could put his name on that trade block real fast.
Guys, what's our thoughts on Deontay Johnson and Chuba Hubbard this week? And I ask you about that because Carolina, even with Bryce Young, I know he stinks. They go to the one running back. They go to the one receiver. Do these guys, Danger, are they popping anywhere in a sim or are they just dead?
Well, you started talking and I started scrolling and it took me a while to get there. I mean, it's okay. I've got a median score for Deontay Johnson at 10 right now, which isn't gross. For his salary at 63, meaning if you hope he has a good game, it's 12 to 13 points. That's only 2x. So yeah, I'm out.
And Hubbard's his price is getting close to 7,000. I mean, the Chan is 500 cheaper.
Can we stay with the Dolphins for a second, Trevor? I think Tua's back. Tyreek Hill is angry. Jalen Waddle hasn't gotten a catch in what seems like weeks. Are we just missing? Because Tua to Tyreek and Waddle is money. It's money. You print money when you do that, when those guys go off. Is this a week that they could do that?
Well, they definitely could do that, and they're cheap enough too. I mean, they're priced to play. It's tough with Tua coming back, but if they could be the stack. If you don't have, you're not going to win.
I always think the one difference is people need to see it first. I need to see Tua. By the time you see him, he already threw for 3 touchdown passes and 300 yards, and you missed your window of opportunity.
Yeah, you got to be ahead of it.
I've got the Tua Hill Waddle stack as the highest owned of the week.
Ooh.
So, I mean, people are already on it. They know Tua's there. They're dying to play Hill at 7,000. They're dying to play Waddle at 54. It's cheap. It's only 18,000 to play all three. I think it's going to be over-owned for what it could do, because I'm not totally convinced that this team snaps because Tua's back.
Right, but it is Arizona.
Yeah,
it is Arizona.
Danger, give me the stack or the play that we're all missing right now.
All right, let me take a quick look down here. I mean, this is saying right now, it's really saying that the Joe Burrow stack is going way underowned. Way underowned. Joe, Chase, and Higgins. And that's probably because it's tough to run it back, but that's what I'm saying. Just don't run it back. Just,
Sure.
If the score is high, I mean, nobody's going to be able to fit all 5 of those top players in anyways. Just pick a side, and I think it's the Burrow side.
Trevor, you've given us Dontavian Wicks. You've given us Jordan Addison. You've given us some spectacular plays. Got one up your sleeve?
I've given you some bad ones too.
No, don't talk about the bad ones. Only talk about the good ones.
The last 2 weeks, I've kind of stunk up the ones I'm going with back to Mooney against Tampa. I think Atlanta is in a good spot here against Tampa. They might throw the ball, but I like Mooney over London. Mooney shredded him last time. I'm going to go with Mooney because he's cheap enough. You can fit a lot more, and I like Mooney.
All right. Any last minute words? Are we good? We're good. All right. So you know what you can do over the next couple of days? You can find Friday Night Lights, Friday about 9 o'clock. We'll do it right here, and you can catch it right here on x.com. And, of course, we'll run it back. Danger will put it up for us, so you can watch it over at drroto.com if you missed it. And, of course, Saturday morning, I'm going to be on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, join us in our Discord. We gave out a lot of good plays over the last couple of weeks, Danger. We've been on fire in Discord.
Hey, we have been knocking it out of the park in Discord every Sunday morning.
Really have. I'm not just saying that. I think it's really true. We've been killing it. So please be there, 10:30 to about 11:45. I start to get antsy because I start shaking because I got to start doing my DFS lineups then. So I start rushing Danger off by like 11:50. But we're there for you for at least 80 minutes. All right. For Danger and Trevor Hillstrom, it's Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.